The legend of Chun-Li failed quietly, and that's why it stings. She was one of the most recognisable fighters in video game history. But the legend of Chun-Li isn't remembered for action, it's remembered as being the movie Hollywood's so ashamed of they dumped it straight onto DVD. This is the story of how they failed Chun-Li. The failure stings most because this wasn't some spin-off nobody asked for, it was Hollywood's second chance of getting Street Fighter right. Hollywood had one crack at making the Street Fighter game into a movie already, and it didn't exactly go well. And if you're interested in that, I've got a video on it already. But in 2009 they decided they wanted another go. The studio had talked the talk, said they were going to give us a serious reboot, taking a chance and finally doing the right thing. And instead they practically ushered it out of the back door onto DVD before most people even knew it existed. I kinda feel they knew what they'd done. Street Fighter 2 wasn't just a game, it was a blueprint, it was a licence to print money. It took the gaming world by storm, both in arcades and homes. It wasn't just the fighting, it was the characters, a roster of 8 plus 4 bosses, each distinct, instantly iconic. You had the sumo wrestler, the boxer, the fire breather, the karate guys, and a green monster who'd electrocute you as soon as look at you. And then you had Chun-Li. She was the first truly global female fighting game icon. Now, before you come at me, you can hear people say she was the very first playable female character in a fighting game. It'd be a fun fact if it wasn't wrong. Yuki and Typhoon Gal beat it to that in 1985. But that detail doesn't change the fact that Chun-Li was the main event. That lightning kick, the spinning kick, the blue dress, the spike wristbands, and some might say the thighs. So when they announced a new film, a reboot, focused entirely on Chun-Li, the pitch was clear. This was their chance to get it right. A grounded story, a focus on the best character, a sleek, serious martial arts origin. It was supposed to be the first of many, the start of a Street Fighter cinematic universe. We got the legend of Chun-Li. The story begins simple enough. A young Chun-Li witnesses her father being kidnapped by Bison. Years later, she receives a mysterious scroll. She flees to Bangkok, trains with Gen, yes Gen, then, for reasons, becomes a vigilante, teaming up rather awkwardly with Nash and uncovers a bizarre real estate crime conspiracy, who it turns out is run by Bison. She fights a few henchmen, dabbles in psychic law, and eventually confronts Bison in a warehouse. It's a revenge thriller, straight line, little else. Compare that to Chun-Li's actual story in the games up to that point, and look, Street Fighter lore is messy on a good day, so I'm keeping this simple. Chun-Li is Interpol, one of the best. Already trained, already elite, already on Shadowloo's trail before half the cast even know it exists. A further is missing, fine, the film keeps that, but the games are responsive professional and focused, and not a spiritual gap year. She works with Guile, not Nash. Her mentor isn't Gen, he's a wandering assassin in the games, not a monk-like guide. And no, the comics don't count. Bison is a psycho-powered dictator, not a bloke doing riverfront redevelopment. Now, to play devil's advocate, sure, you can argue this film Chun-Li could eventually become the Interpol version. It's an origin story, fair enough. But nothing in the film sets that up. Not a training, not a motivation. The games give us an elite officer deep in the Shadowloo investigation. And in the film, we get a civilian vigilante chasing a property scheme while being guided by mystic monks. One path leads to Interpol, the other really doesn't. So yes, maybe she should become a Chun-Li we know, but let's be honest, there isn't much chance of that happening. The difference between what they promised and what we got is vast, but we're kinda used to that, right? As always with these things, it was lost in translation right from the start. Chun-Li is defined by speed, by physics defying intensity. Her whole visual identity is the vibrant blue outfit and those signature ox horns. The film makes for a dark-haired woman in beige street clothes. We got the classic outfit once, kind of. Which brings me to the spinning bird kick. It's sort of underwhelming. It should have been. They must have known this was the kind of thing that people were waiting to see. This was perhaps the one thing people did want to see. Blinking, you'll miss it in the film. It's frankly a bit embarrassing. As for the lightning kick, well, forget it. Fireballs whether we're on the table. The film totally misunderstands what or who Chun-Li is. She is not a gritty, quiet vigilante. She's a super cop with thighs that can rearrange internal organs. Kristen Kirk left a long-time gig on Smallville for this. Got to be a bit sorry for her somewhere along the way. And then you have the cast of supporting players. The main antagonist, Bison, the ultimate psycho-powered dictator. He's played by Neil McDonough. No helmet, no military uniform. Bison is supposed to be terrifying and imposing, the physical embodiment of evil and military corruption. The film reimagines him as a generic Irish crime boss, in a posh suit. Neil McDonough plays him like a slightly annoyed executive who is mostly just frustrated by logistics.
Beautiful homes for those who can afford it. I'm making Bangkok a better place.
Then there is Charlie Nash, the cast Chris Klein. His performance as Nash is now notorious. But forget the US Army and Gallup connection, he's meant to be an Interpol agent, and for some reason he's got a strange and campy intensity about him.
I've tracked him through 11 major cities on 4 continents and never come close, not once. This guy walks through the raindrops.
It's like he couldn't work out if it was a serious martial arts film or some kind of parody. Fair enough. Bison is the only change they made. Balrog, the Mike Tyson analogue, now is a glorified henchman. He's played by Michael Clark Duncan, which is a good shout to be fair, but it's completely wasted here. Berger, the Spanish cage fighter, gets a one-scene cameo with a mask that looks like it came from a cheap Halloween shop. He's played by Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, and well, I'm not really sure why. As we're talking about the casting, I might as well point out that Jen was played by Robin Shue if you didn't notice. Liu Kang from a much better Mortal Kombat film. There's a video of that film on the channel as well if you like. Crimson Viper is also in the film, but not that you know it really. I'm guessing she was supposed to be some kind of Easter egg for future films, but well. Rose is in the mix as well, but you know, less barely worth mentioning really. The film needed to be a vibrant, fast-paced martial arts opera. Instead, it's a forgettable mid-tempo crime thriller that just happens to use the names of a popular fighting game. It's what happens when a studio promises a grounded, relatable story over adapting the core experience of the game. They were trying to adapt, or worse, invent a backstory that was never meant to be the focus, and they ended up with a film where the legend never actually makes it to the screen. The problem with the legend Chun-Li is that it arrived at the wrong time and with the wrong intent. It landed in 2009, right as the grit reboot era was taking hold. The idea was to take something ridiculous and make it serious, which is clearly what they tried to do here. On some level I get it, and it could have worked. They could have used the same basic story we got here, but they seem to actively work against turning Chun-Li into Chun-Li. In some ways it was close, but it let itself become a lazy failure. Not because it's bad, but because it's boring. And that's the worst crime a fighting game adaptation can commit. And the audience responded accordingly. It bombed, critically, commercially, and culturally. And for all I've said about the film and getting it as wrong as they did make a move towards the end of the film to set up future installments in the franchise, but well, they never happened.
Bison's dead.
We need to recruit. They've been talking about a fighter in Japan. Ryu... something? I hear he's a force to be reckoned with.
I mean, at least the sheer ambition of the failure is noteworthy. Delivering a live-action Chun-Li without having the joy, speed, or identity of Chun-Li as well. Kind of impressive, really. Or not. If you've enjoyed this video, then drop me a like and let me know. Subscribe as well if you want while you're there, so you don't miss future videos. If not, then no worries, I'll be here all the same. Anyways, I've been Paul, and this has been Pixels Popcorn. Thanks for watching.